The candle flickered in the stone chamber. Shadows danced across the cold walls. Duke Thorne sat alone at his desk. His hand rested flat on the burning wax. The flame touched his skin. He did not move. He did not flinch. He watched the wax pool on his palm like water. He felt nothing. He never did. The servants whispered about him. The curse, they called it. The devil's gift. Duke Thorne Ashford could not feel pain. Not a cut, not a burn, not a broken bone. His body was a fortress that could not be breached by suffering. But tonight, something else burned inside him. Something deeper than fire. Something that had nothing to do with his skin. She was leaving. And for the first time in his 32 years, Thorne understood what it meant to hurt. The curse began when Thorne was 7 years old. He fell from the stable roof. His body hit the ground hard. The bone in his arm snapped. The servants screamed. His mother ran to him. But Thorne only looked at his twisted arm with curiosity. "Does it hurt?" his mother asked, tears streaming down her face. "No," Thorne said. "Should it?" The doctors came. They examined him. They poked him with needles. They pressed on the broken bone. Thorne watched them with calm eyes. He felt pressure. He felt touch. But he felt no pain. His father called it a blessing. His mother called it a curse. Thorne called it nothing at all. It simply was. As he grew older, the truth became clear. Pain was a teacher. Pain kept people safe. Pain told the body when to stop. Without it, Thorne was dangerous to himself. He learned to watch his body like a stranger's. He checked for cuts he could not feel. He avoided fights because he could not tell when he was truly hurt. He became careful, controlled, cold. People feared him. They saw a man who could not be broken, a man who did not bleed the way others did, a man without weakness. But they were wrong. Thorne had a weakness. He just did not know it yet. The estate of Ashford Manor stretched across the northern hills. Stone towers reached toward grey skies. Gardens sprawled in organised chaos. Servants moved through the halls like ghosts. Thorne stood at his window. He looked out at the land he owned. Hundreds of acres. Thousands of people who depended on him. Yet the view felt empty. His steward, Mr. Pemberton, knocked on the door. "Your Grace," Pemberton said, "the new physician has arrived." Thorne turned. "I did not request a new physician." "Your mother did, Your Grace. Before she passed, she arranged for someone special." Thorne's jaw tightened. His mother had died 3 months ago. Even from the grave, she tried to fix him. "Send them away," Thorne said. "Your Grace, with respect, your last injury went unnoticed for 2 days. You nearly lost the leg." Thorne looked down at his left leg. He remembered finding the wound. Deep. Infected. He had walked on it without knowing. The doctors said he was lucky. Thorne did not feel lucky. "Fine," Thorne said. "But if this physician wastes my time with prayers and potions, they leave tonight." "Understood, Your Grace." Pemberton left. Thorne returned to his desk. He opened the ledger. Numbers filled the pages. Rents, harvests, expenses. These things made sense. These things had order. An hour later, Pemberton returned. "Your Grace," he said, "the physician is here." Thorne did not look up. "Show them in." The door opened. Footsteps crossed the room. Light footsteps. Too light for most men. "Your Grace," a woman's voice said, "my name is Seraphina Cole. I am your new physician." Thorne's head snapped up. A woman stood before his desk. She wore a simple grey dress. Her dark hair was pulled back tight. She carried a leather bag. Her eyes were steady, unflinching. "You are a woman," Thorne said. "Yes," Seraphina replied. "That happens sometimes." Thorne stood. "I will not be examined by a woman." "Then you will die," Seraphina said calmly. "Probably in your sleep, from an infection you cannot feel. Is your pride worth that much? Thorn stared at her. Most people looked away when he stared. Most people stammered. This woman met his eyes without fear. Who trained you? Thorn asked. My father. He was the royal physician for 15 years. I learned at his side. Then I studied in Edinburgh, then Paris, then Vienna. I have forgotten more about medicine than most English doctors will ever learn. Women are not allowed to study medicine. I did not ask for permission. Something flickered in Thorn's chest, something unfamiliar. Interest. My condition is not a disease, Thorn said. It cannot be cured. I am not here to cure you, Serafina said. I am here to keep you alive. There is a difference. She set her bag on his desk. She opened it. Inside were instruments, bandages, bottles of medicine. Everything was organized, clean, professional. Your mother hired me 6 months before she died, Serafina said. She told me about your condition. She gave me all the medical records. She made me promise to care for you. So here I am. Thorn felt something twist inside him. His mother's last gift. A guardian he did not want. I do not need a nursemaid, Thorn said. Good, because I am a physician, not a nursemaid. I am perfectly capable of monitoring myself. Really? Serafina walked around the desk. She stood close to him, too close. Then why is there blood on your boot? Thorn looked down. His right boot was dark, wet. Blood seeped from inside. He lifted his foot. He pulled off the boot. His stocking was soaked red. He peeled it away. A deep gash ran across the top of his foot. Fresh, still bleeding. When did that happen? Serafina asked. Thorn tried to remember. He had walked through the gardens this morning. He had climbed the tower stairs. He had crossed the training yard. Any of those places could have caused the wound. I do not know, Thorn admitted. That is why I am here. Serafina knelt before him. She took his foot in her hands. Her touch was gentle but firm. She cleaned the wound. She examined it closely. Broken glass, she said. Probably from a window in the east wing. The servants reported a broken pane yesterday. You walked through it. How do you know that? The cut is clean, sharp, and there are small glass fragments still inside. This will need stitches. She pulled thread and a needle from her bag. She worked quickly. Her hands moved with confidence. Thorn watched her face. She focused completely on her task. Her brow furrowed slightly. Her lips pressed together. Do you feel this? She asked as she pushed the needle through his skin. No. This? No. This? No. She tied off the thread. She wrapped his foot in clean bandages. Then she looked up at him. You will check this wound every morning and every night, she said. You will report to me if there is any redness, any swelling, any strange smell. Do you understand? I am a duke, Thorn said. I do not take orders. Then I will leave, and you will lose that foot, and probably your life. Your choice. They stared at each other. Her eyes were dark brown, almost black. They held no fear, no hesitation. Only certainty. Thorn made a decision that would change everything. Fine, he said. You may stay. Serafina stood. She packed her bag. I will examine you every morning at 8. I will check for injuries. I will monitor your health. You will cooperate, or I will tell your entire staff that you refused medical care and endangered yourself. How will that look to your tenants, your peers? Thorn's eyes narrowed. You would blackmail a duke? I would save a stubborn man's life, even if he does not want me to. She walked to the door. She paused. Your mother loved you very much, Serafina said quietly. She worried about you every day. She made me swear on my father's grave that I would protect you. I do not break my promises. So whether you like it or not, Your Grace, you are stuck with me. She left. Thorn stood alone in his study. He looked down at his bandaged foot. For the first time in months, he smiled. Serafina arrived at 8 the next morning. Thorn was already awake. He sat in his study. He wore only his shirt and breeches. His coat hung on the chair. "Good morning, Your Grace," Serafina said. She set down her bag. "Remove your shirt." "Excuse me?" "I need to examine you. That requires seeing your body. Remove your shirt." Thorn hesitated. He was not modest. He had been examined by dozens of doctors, but something about this woman made him uncomfortable. Not in a bad way, in a way he could not name. He removed his shirt. Serafina stepped forward. She studied his chest, his arms, his back. Her eyes moved over his skin like she was reading a map. "3 scars," she said. "One on your left shoulder, old, probably from childhood. One on your ribs, newer, 6 months. One on your back, recent, last week." Thorn looked at her in surprise. "How did you know?" "Scar tissue heals in stages. Color, texture. They tell a story." She touched the scar on his ribs. "What happened here?" "I was thrown from a horse. I hit a fence post." "Did you notice at the time?" "Not until the next day. I saw blood on my shirt." "And the one on your back?" "I do not know." Serafina's expression darkened. "You do not know. You were injured badly enough to scar, and you do not know how it happened." "It is not uncommon." "It should not happen at all." She walked around him. She examined every inch of his skin. She found 2 more small cuts, one on his arm, one on his neck, both hidden beneath his hair and clothes. "Sit," she said. Thorn sat. She checked his feet, his legs, his hands. She pressed on his joints. She felt his pulse. "Do you sleep well?" she asked. "Well enough." "Do you eat regularly?" "When I remember." "Do you drink water?" "Sometimes." Serafina made a note in a small journal. "You are slowly killing yourself through neglect. Your body is strong, but it will not last forever. You need structure, discipline, care. I have survived 32 years without help." "You survived. You did not live. There is a difference." She closed her journal. She looked at him with an expression he could not read. "Your condition is not just physical," Serafina said. "Pain is how the body communicates. Without it, you are cut off from yourself. That affects everything. How you move, how you think, how you feel." "I feel things," Thorn said. "Do you?" The question hung in the air. Thorn wanted to argue, but he could not. Because she was right. He felt emotions. Anger, frustration, loneliness. But they felt distant, muffled, like sounds heard through a thick wall. "Pain connects us to the world," Serafina said. "It reminds us we are alive. Without it, you are separated. Do you understand?" "No." "Then I will help you understand." She reached into her bag. She pulled out a small glass vial. Inside was a clear liquid. "This is peppermint oil," she said. "It is very strong. When applied to skin, it creates a burning sensation. Most people find it unbearable, but you will not feel it at all." She put a drop on her finger. She held it up. "May I?" she asked. Thorn nodded. She touched the oil to his arm. She rubbed it into his skin. She watched his face. "Anything?" she asked. "No." She added more. She covered a larger area. Still nothing. "This would make a normal person scream," Serafina said quietly. "But you feel nothing. Your nerves do not carry the signal. Your brain does not receive the message. You are numb." She wiped away the oil. She cleaned his arm gently. "But here is what I find interesting," she said. "Your heart rate increased when I touched you. Your breathing changed. Your pupils dilated. Your body responds to stimulation, just not through pain. Thorn frowned. What does that mean? It means you are not broken. You are different, and different can be managed. She stepped back. She smiled slightly. It was the first time he had seen her smile. It changed her entire face, made her look younger, softer. We will develop a routine, Serafina said. Morning examinations, evening checks, scheduled meals, rest periods. You will treat your body like you treat this estate, with attention, with care, with respect. And if I refuse? Then I will make your life very difficult, Your Grace. Thorn laughed. Actually laughed. It surprised him. It surprised her, too. Her eyes widened. You laugh, she said. I did not know dukes could do that. Neither did I. Something passed between them, a moment of connection. Brief, fragile, real. Serafina packed her bag. I will return tonight at 8. Please do not injure yourself between now and then. I will try. She walked to the door. She paused. Your Grace, she said. Thank you for cooperating. I know this is not easy for you. Neither is it easy for you, I imagine, living in a house full of people who likely disapprove of you. Serafina's expression hardened. I have lived with disapproval my entire life. I am used to it. That does not make it right. She looked at him, really looked at him, like she was seeing him for the first time. No, she said softly. It does not. She left. Thorn sat in his study. He thought about her hands on his skin. He thought about her voice. He thought about her smile. And he realized something that terrified him. He wanted to see her again. Days turned into weeks. Serafina came every morning at 8. She examined Thorn. She checked for injuries. She found them more often than he liked to admit. Small cuts, bruises, burns, things he never noticed. She also instituted rules. No walking barefoot, ever. No working in the study past midnight. Sleep was necessary for healing. 3 meals a day, no exceptions. Leather gloves when handling anything sharp. Thorn hated the rules, but he followed them. Because every time he broke one, Serafina looked at him with such disappointment that something inside him ached. That was new. The aching. You are recovering faster, Serafina said one morning. She examined a cut on his hand. Your body is responding to proper rest and nutrition. See? Care works. Thorn watched her wrap the bandage. You enjoy being right, don't you? Always. He smiled. He smiled a lot now, around her. Serafina started staying longer during her visits. At first, she left immediately after examinations. But slowly, she began to linger. She asked about his work, his land, his responsibilities. Thorn found himself talking, really talking, about things he never discussed with anyone. The tenants are struggling, he said one morning. The harvest was poor. Rents are due. I cannot lower them without endangering the estate, but I cannot raise them without endangering the people. It is an impossible balance. Serafina listened. She did not offer empty platitudes. She thought carefully before responding. What if you lowered rents for those who worked extra days maintaining the estate? She suggested. They contribute labor. You reduce their financial burden. Everyone benefits. Thorn stared at her. That is brilliant. I know. He laughed. You are unbearably arrogant. Confidence is only arrogance when you are wrong. I am rarely wrong. Rarely? Never. I said rarely to be polite. They grinned at each other. The tension in the room shifted, became something warmer, something dangerous. Serafina cleared her throat. She stepped back. I should go. I have other patients in the village. Other patients? Thorne felt something sharp in his chest. Who? Mrs. Henderson's daughter has a fever. Mr. Blake has gout. Little Emma needs her arm checked. I treat anyone who needs help. For money? Sometimes. Sometimes for bread. Sometimes for nothing at all. She shrugged. Medicine should not be only for the rich. Thorne stood. It is not safe for you to travel alone. I have been doing it for 5 years. I am fine. Nevertheless, I will assign you a footman and a carriage. I do not need, I insist. They looked at each other. Serafina's expression softened. Thank you, she said quietly. That is kind. I am not kind. Yes, you are. You just do not realize it. She left. Thorne stood at the window. He watched her walk to the stables. She moved with confidence, purpose, grace. He pressed his hand against the cold glass. He felt the coolness. He felt the smooth surface. But he did not feel the way his heart pounded in his chest. Or maybe he did. Maybe that was the problem. One evening, Thorne found Serafina in the library. She sat in a chair by the fire. A book rested in her lap. She did not notice him at first. She was lost in the pages. Her face glowed in the firelight. Thorne stood in the doorway. He watched her. He knew he should leave. This was improper. But he could not move. Serafina looked up. She saw him. She smiled. Your Grace, she said. I did not hear you come in. I did not mean to disturb you. You are not. She closed the book. I finished my evening rounds early. I hope you do not mind that I borrowed your library. It is yours to use. All of it. Thank you. Thorne stepped into the room. What are you reading? She held up the book. Gray's Anatomy. I have read it a dozen times, but I always find something new. You read medical texts for pleasure? Do you read ledgers for pleasure? That is different. Those are necessary. So is this, to me. Thorne sat in the chair across from her. The fire crackled between them. For a long moment, neither spoke. Why did you become a physician? Thorne asked. Serafina looked into the flames. My father. He was extraordinary. He believed medicine was a calling, not a profession. He treated everyone, rich, poor. It did not matter. He said every life had equal value. He sounds like a good man. He was, until he was not. Something flickered across her face. Pain. Real pain. What happened? Thorne asked gently. He was accused of malpractice. A nobleman's son died under his care. My father was blamed. He was stripped of his position, his reputation, everything. He died 6 months later, heartbroken. I am sorry. The worst part is, he was innocent. The nobleman's son had a condition no one could have treated, but the family needed someone to blame. My father was convenient. Serafina's hands tightened on the book. That is when I decided to become a physician, to clear his name, to prove that his methods worked, to help people the way he did. But women cannot be licensed physicians. No, they cannot. So I work in the shadows. I take cases no one else wants. I go where other doctors refuse to go, and I do my father's work, even if no one acknowledges it. Thorne felt something crack inside him. This woman had been wronged, rejected, dismissed, yet she continued. She fought. She cared. She was stronger than anyone he had ever met. Your father would be proud of you, Thorne said. Serafina looked at him. Tears shone in her eyes. You think so? I know so. She smiled. It was small, fragile, beautiful. Thank you, she whispered. They sat together until the fire burned low. They talked about everything and nothing. Books, medicine, the estate, the stars. For the first time in his life, Thorn felt connected to another person. Not through duty, not through necessity, but through choice. When Serafina finally stood to leave, Thorn walked her to the door. "Good night, Your Grace," she said. "Thorn," he said. "When we are alone, call me Thorn." She hesitated, then nodded. "Good night, Thorn." "Good night, Serafina." She left. Thorn stood in the empty library. The room felt colder without her, but something inside him felt warmer than it ever had. Things changed after that night. Serafina still came for morning examinations, but now she stayed for breakfast. Then she stayed for walks in the garden. Then she stayed for dinner. The servants noticed. They whispered. Thorn did not care. He started to crave her presence, not just for medical care, but for her thoughts, her laughter, her sharp observations about the world. One afternoon, they walked through the rose garden. Autumn had arrived. The flowers were dying, but they were still beautiful. "Do you miss it?" Thorn asked. "The city, society, a life outside this estate?" "No," Serafina said. "I was never comfortable in society. Too many rules, too many expectations. Here, I can be myself." "And who is that?" She stopped walking. She looked at him. "Someone who cares too much. Someone who cannot save everyone but will die trying. Someone who is too stubborn and too proud and too angry at the world for being unfair." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." Thorn reached out. He picked a dying rose. He handed it to her. "You are also someone who is kind, brilliant, brave. Do not forget those parts." Serafina took the rose. Her fingers brushed his. It was the briefest touch, but Thorn felt it, really felt it. Not pain, something else, something electric. She felt it too. He saw it in her eyes. "Thorn," she said softly, "we should not—" "I know." "You are a duke. I am a woman who should not even be practicing medicine." "I know." "This can go nowhere." "I know." They stood inches apart. The world around them faded. There was only her, only this moment. "But I do not care," Thorn said. "For the first time in my life I feel something, and it is because of you." Serafina's breath caught. "What do you feel?" "Everything." He leaned closer. She did not move away. Their lips were almost touching. Then a servant's voice called from the house. "Your Grace! A messenger has arrived." The moment shattered. Serafina stepped back. She clutched the rose to her chest. "I should go," she said. "Serafina." "I will see you tomorrow morning." She hurried away. Thorn watched her disappear into the house. He wanted to follow her. He wanted to pull her back. He wanted to finish what they had started. But he did not. Because she was right. This was dangerous. This was impossible. But that did not stop him from wanting her. The messenger brought news. Thorn's cousin, Lord Whitmore, was coming to visit. He would arrive in 2 days. He would stay for a week. Thorn cursed. Whitmore was ambitious, cunning. He had always wanted Ashford Manor. He had always believed he should have inherited the dukedom. And now he would be here, watching, judging, looking for weaknesses. Serafina was a weakness. Thorn knew what he had to do. He had to create distance between them. He had to protect her reputation. He had to stop this before it went too far. But when Serafina arrived the next morning, all his resolve crumbled. She examined him as usual. But there was a tension between them now, an awareness. Every touch lingered a moment too long. Every glance held a meaning. "Thorn," Serafina said finally, "about yesterday." "We do not need to discuss it." "Yes, we do, because I felt it too, and it terrifies me." Thorn looked at her. "Why?" Because I have spent my entire life proving I am more than a woman, that I am capable, professional, controlled. If I allow myself to feel something for you, I lose that. I become just another woman who fell for a man she could not have. You could never be just another anything. You do not understand. If anyone discovers that I have feelings for you, my reputation is destroyed. I will never work again. I will lose everything my father built, everything I fought for. Thorn wanted to argue, but he could not, because she was right. The world was cruel to women like her. My cousin arrives tomorrow, Thorn said. He cannot know about us, about anything. He will use it against me, against you. Then we stop this now, before it begins. Is that what you want? Serafina looked at him with eyes full of pain. No, but it is what must be done. She packed her bag. She walked to the door. She did not look back. Serafina, Thorn called. She stopped, but she did not turn around. If the world were different, Thorn said. If I were not a duke, if you were not, but we are, and the world is what it is. She left. Thorn sat in his study. He stared at his hands. These hands that could not feel pain. These hands that would never feel her touch again. For the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to hurt. And he hated it. Lord Whitmore arrived in a carriage trimmed with gold. He was tall, handsome, charming, everything a nobleman should be. Thorn hated him immediately. "Cousin," Whitmore said with a wide smile. "How wonderful to see you. You look well, very well indeed." "Whitmore," Thorn said coolly. "Welcome to Ashford Manor." They stood in the entrance hall. Servants carried Whitmore's luggage. There was a lot of it. "I hope you do not mind me staying for a week," Whitmore said. "I have business in the area, and I thought it was time we reconnected. Family is so important, don't you think?" "Of course." Whitmore's eyes scanned the hall. They were sharp, calculating. "The estate looks prosperous. You have done well for yourself." "I have done what is necessary." "Still so modest. That is what I always admired about you, Thorn. You never flaunt your power. You just exist in it." There was something in his tone, something poisonous, but his smile never wavered. Dinner that night was tense. Whitmore dominated the conversation. He talked about London, politics, society, all the things Thorn avoided. "I heard the most interesting rumor," Whitmore said over dessert. "They say you have hired a female physician. Is that true?" Thorn's jaw tightened. "Yes." "How progressive of you. And brave. Most men would not trust their health to a woman." "Most men are fools." Whitmore laughed. "Indeed. I would love to meet this woman. She must be quite remarkable to earn your trust." "She is unavailable," Thorn said quickly. "She has patients in the village." "A pity. I do so enjoy meeting interesting people." The way he said, "interesting," made Thorn's blood run cold. Whitmore was hunting for something, some scandal, some weakness. Thorn would not give it to him, but fate had other plans. The next morning, Serafina arrived for the examination. She did not know about Whitmore. Thorn had not warned her. She knocked on the study door. She entered without waiting. She carried her medical bag. "Good morning, Thorn." She stopped. She saw Whitmore sitting in the chair by the fire. "Your Grace," she corrected quickly. "I apologize for the intrusion. I did not know you had a guest." Whitmore stood. His eyes gleamed with interest. "So this is the famous physician. How delightful." Thorn stood as well. "Lord Whitmore, this is Miss Serafina Cole. She manages my medical care." "Miss Cole." Whitmore took her hand. He kissed it. "What a pleasure. I have heard so much about you." Serafina pulled her hand away smoothly. Have you? How strange. I have heard nothing about you. Thorn fought back a smile. Whitmore's eyes narrowed slightly. I am His Grace's cousin, Whitmore said. I am visiting for the week. I hope we will have time to speak. I would love to learn about your work. I am very busy, my lord, but I will try. She turned to Thorn. Your Grace, when you are available, I need to conduct your examination. Of course. Whitmore, excuse me. Actually, Whitmore said, I would love to observe. I have never seen a medical examination before. It sounds fascinating. No, Thorn and Serafina said at the same time. Whitmore raised an eyebrow. No? How curious. Is there something you do not want me to see? Medical examinations are private, Serafina said firmly. Patient confidentiality is essential to proper care. Of course, forgive me. I did not mean to overstep. But his smile said otherwise. He bowed and left the room. When the door closed, Serafina turned to Thorn. You did not tell me he was here. I did not have time. He arrived last night. He knows. Or he suspects. He suspects everything. That is who he is. We must be more careful. I can stop coming, at least while he is here. No. If you stop, he will definitely know something is wrong. We continue as normal, professional, distant. Serafina nodded, but her hands shook as she opened her bag. Thorn saw it. He wanted to hold those hands. He wanted to tell her everything would be fine. But he could not, because he was not sure it would be. Whitmore watched them, constantly. He appeared at meals, in the library, in the gardens, always with a smile, always with a clever comment, always observing. Thorn kept his distance from Serafina. Their morning examinations became brief, efficient, cold. It hurt more than Thorn expected. One evening, Whitmore cornered Thorn in the study. You are quite taken with her, aren't you? Whitmore said. With whom? Miss Cole, the physician. You look at her like a starving man looks at bread. You are mistaken. Am I? I watched you today in the garden. She walked past. You followed her with your eyes. Your entire body turned toward her, like a flower to the sun. Thorn's hands clenched. Get to your point, Whitmore. My point is simple. You are a duke. She is a commoner. Worse, she is a woman practicing medicine illegally. If anyone discovered that you had feelings for her, it would be disastrous, for both of you. There is nothing to discover. Good, because I would hate to see you throw away your title for a woman, especially when there are so many better options. Lady Catherine Ashford, for example. Beautiful, connected, appropriate. Thorn felt rage build inside him. I will marry whom I choose, when I choose. Of course, I am simply offering advice, cousin to cousin, Whitmore smiled. After all, if something were to happen to your reputation, someone would need to take over the estate, and as your closest male relative, that would be me. There it was, the threat, clear, direct. Nothing will happen to my reputation, Thorn said coldly, because there is nothing to find. I hope you are right. Whitmore left. Thorn stood alone, his heart pounded, his mind raced. Whitmore was looking for a scandal. If he found one, he would destroy Serafina. And Thorn. The only way to protect her was to push her away, completely, finally, even if it killed him to do it. Thorn avoided Serafina for 2 days. He sent word that he was too busy for examinations. He stayed in his study. He worked until his eyes burned. But on the 3rd day, Serafina forced her way in. She burst through the study door. Pemberton ran after her. Miss Cole, you cannot just... Leave us, Serafina said. Miss Cole, now. Pemberton looked at Thorn. Thorn nodded. The steward left. Serafina slammed the door. She turned to Thorn, her eyes blazed with anger. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Working. You are avoiding me, why?" "I am not. Do not lie to me. You have not let me examine you in 3 days. You sent your meals back untouched. You are destroying yourself. Why?" Thorn stood. He faced her. "Because it is better this way." "Better? Better for whom?" "For you. For both of us. Whitmore is watching. If he sees any hint of impropriety, he will destroy us. I am protecting you." "I do not need your protection. I need you to stop being a coward." The word hit like a blow. Thorn flinched. "I am trying to do the right thing," he said. "The right thing? The right thing is to live, to let me do my job, to stop punishing yourself because you are afraid." "I am not afraid." "Liar, you are terrified. Not of Whitmore, not of scandal, of this, of us, of feeling something you cannot control." She stepped closer. "You told me you felt everything when you were with me. Was that a lie?" "No." "Then why are you running?" "Because I cannot give you what you deserve." Thorn's voice rose. "You deserve a man who can protect you, who can marry you publicly, who can give you respect and security and a future. I cannot do any of that. I am a duke with a curse, a man who cannot feel pain, a man who will always be different, wrong, broken." Serafina stared at him. Then she did something unexpected. She slapped him. Her hand connected with his cheek, hard. The sound echoed through the room. Thorn did not feel the pain, but he felt the shock, the anger, the emotion behind it. "You are not broken," Serafina said. Her voice shook. "You are the strongest man I have ever met. You survived a childhood that would have killed most people. You run an estate. You care for your people. You fight every day to stay safe in a body that does not warn you of danger. That is not weakness. That is strength." Tears streamed down her face. "And yes, you cannot give me a public life. You cannot marry me in society. But you can give me this, these moments, these conversations, this connection. That is more than most people ever have." "It is not enough." "It is everything." They stood frozen. The air between them crackled with tension. "I love you," Serafina whispered. "I did not want to. I tried not to. But I do. And I do not care what the world thinks. I do not care about scandal or reputation or society. I care about you. Only you." Thorn felt something break inside him. All his walls, all his defenses, everything he used to protect himself from the world. Gone. He crossed the room in 2 steps. He pulled her into his arms. He kissed her. It was desperate, hungry, real. She kissed him back, her hands tangled in his hair, her body pressed against his. For the first time in his life, Thorn felt complete, whole, connected. He felt everything, and it was perfect. They broke apart, gasping. They stared at each other. "I love you," Thorn said. "I did not know I could, but I do." Serafina smiled through her tears. "I know." They kissed again, softer this time, sweeter. Outside, storm clouds gathered, but inside, everything was bright. They did not emerge from the study for hours. They talked, they laughed, they planned a future that seemed impossible, but felt inevitable. "We will have to be careful," Thorn said. "Whitmore cannot know." "Let him find out. I do not care anymore." "I care. I will not let him hurt you." Serafina cupped his face. "Then we will be careful. But I will not hide what I feel. Not forever." "Neither will I." They sealed the promise with another kiss. But outside the door, someone listened. Someone who had heard everything. Someone who smiled with cruel satisfaction. Lord Whitmore walked away from the study. He had what he needed: the scandal, the weakness, the weapon. Now he just had to decide how to use it. Whitmore struck 3 days later. He invited several noblemen to the estate. For dinner, he said, to reconnect with old friends. Thorne could not refuse without seeming rude, so he agreed. The dinner was elegant, expensive. The guests were influential, powerful, the kind of men whose opinions shaped society. Whitmore played the perfect host. He charmed everyone. He told jokes. He poured wine. He praised Thorne's management of the estate. Then, over dessert, he made his move. "Gentlemen," Whitmore said, "I must share something remarkable. My cousin has hired a female physician. Can you imagine?" The men exchanged glances. Some looked intrigued, others looked scandalized. "A female physician?" Lord Bancroft said. "Surely not." "Oh yes," Whitmore continued. "Miss Seraphina Cole. She examines him daily, in private, behind closed doors. It is quite intimate." Thorne's jaw clenched. He saw the trap closing. "There is nothing inappropriate about it," Thorne said coldly. "Miss Cole is a trained professional. She manages my medical condition." Of course," Whitmore said smoothly. "I meant no offense. It is simply unusual. Some might even say improper." "Some would be wrong," Thorne said. "Still," Lord Bancroft said slowly, "a young woman, alone with you, every day, it does raise questions." "What questions?" Thorne demanded. "About propriety, about appearances. You are an unmarried duke. She is an unmarried woman. People will talk." "Let them." "But will they stop at talk?" Whitmore asked. His voice was innocent, but his eyes were sharp. "What if they begin to wonder if there is more to this arrangement? What if they question your judgment, your morals, your fitness to manage this estate?" Thorne stood. "That is enough, Whitmore." "I am simply thinking of your reputation, cousin, and hers. After all, if people believe she is your mistress rather than your physician, her career is over. She will never work again. And you will be seen as a man who takes advantage of vulnerable women." The room fell silent. Every man at the table watched, judged, calculated. Thorne realized the brilliance of Whitmore's trap. If Thorne defended Seraphina too strongly, it confirmed suspicion. If he did not defend her, she was ruined. Either way, Whitmore won. "Miss Cole is not my mistress," Thorne said. His voice was ice. "She is my physician, nothing more. Anyone who suggests otherwise is a liar." "Of course," Whitmore said. "I believe you. But will others? Especially when rumors spread, and they will spread, Thorne. You know how society works." Thorne saw his options narrow. Whitmore would spread rumors regardless. The only way to stop him was to prove there was nothing to rumor about, which meant ending things with Seraphina. Publicly. Permanently. "If it concerns you so much," Thorne said slowly, "I will dismiss Miss Cole. I will hire a male physician, immediately." Whitmore's smile widened. "That would certainly solve the problem." "No." Everyone turned. Seraphina stood in the doorway. She wore a simple dress. Her hair was pulled back, but she looked like a queen. "Miss Cole," Thorne said. His heart sank. "This does not concern you." "It concerns me very much," Seraphina said. She walked into the room. She stood behind Thorne's chair. "Because I am the subject of this conversation, and I will not be discussed like I am not here." "Miss Cole, please," Whitmore said. "This is a private dinner." "Then you should not have been discussing me." She looked around the table. She met each man's eyes, unflinching. "I am a physician," Seraphina said. "I trained for years. I studied under the best doctors in Europe. I have saved lives. I have healed wounds. I have done everything a male physician does. The only difference is that I was born female. If that offends you, the problem is not with me. It is with you." "Miss Cole," Lord Bancroft said gently. "No one doubts your skill, but surely you understand how this looks. An unmarried woman, alone with a duke." "I am alone with male patients every day. I treat farmers, merchants, labourers. No one questions that. But the moment I treat a nobleman, suddenly my morals are suspect. Why? Because he has wealth? Because he has power? Because people like you need something to gossip about?" Her voice rose. "I have done nothing wrong. Neither has the Duke. We have a professional relationship. If you see scandal in that, it is because you want to see it, not because it exists." The room was silent, shocked. Whitmore recovered first. "Miss Cole, you are very passionate, but passion does not change reality. In society, appearances matter, and the appearance here is damaging." "Then change society," Serafina said, "because I will not change who I am. Not for you, not for anyone." She turned to Thorn. "Your Grace, I release you from my services, effective immediately. I will not be the reason your reputation suffers. You are a good man. You deserve better than this." "Serafina." "It is done." She walked out. The door closed behind her. Thorn sat frozen. His mind screamed at him to follow her, to stop her, to fight for her. But he did not. Because she was right. His reputation mattered. Not for himself, but for the estate, for the people who depended on him. Whitmore had won. Serafina left that night. She packed her belongings. She took her medical bag. She did not say goodbye. Thorn stood at his window. He watched her carriage disappear into the darkness. Something inside him vanished with her. The next morning, Whitmore left. He got what he wanted. Proof that Thorn could be controlled. Proof that he had weaknesses. The guests left as well. They would return to London. They would spread the story. Embellished, dramatized, twisted. Thorn did not care. Without Serafina, nothing mattered. Days passed. Then weeks. Thorn stopped eating regularly. He stopped sleeping. He stopped checking for injuries. He found a cut on his arm. Deep, infected. He ignored it. He found a burn on his hand. Severe, blistering. He ignored it. He walked on a sprained ankle for a week before it swelled so badly he could not put on his boot. Pemberton begged him to hire a new physician. Thorn refused. "Why?" Pemberton asked. "Your Grace, you are dying." "Good. You do not mean that." "Don't I?" Thorn sat in his study. Papers piled around him, work left undone. The estate suffered, the tenants worried, everything crumbled. Because Thorn had learned something terrible. He could feel pain after all, just not physical pain. The pain of losing Serafina was worse than any injury. It was constant, unending, unbearable. It consumed him. One night, Pemberton found Thorn collapsed in the study. Fever burned through him. The infection from his arm had spread. "Get help," Thorn whispered. "Who, Your Grace? You dismissed Miss Cole. You refuse other physicians." "Get her, please." Pemberton hesitated. Then he nodded. "I will send word immediately." Serafina received the message at midnight. She was working in a village 20 miles away, treating a child with pneumonia. Exhausted, heartbroken. The messenger found her. "Miss Cole, the Duke of Ashford is dying. Please come." Serafina did not hesitate. She grabbed her bag. She rode through the night. She arrived at Ashford Manor at dawn. Pemberton met her at the door. "He is in his chambers," Pemberton said. "The fever is very high. The infection is spreading. I do not think—" "Take me to him." They ran through the halls. They burst into Thorn's chambers. Thorn lay in bed, pale, sweating, barely conscious. Serafina dropped her bag. She ran to him. She pressed her hand to his forehead. "Thorn," she said, Can you hear me? His eyes fluttered open. Serafina, are you real? I am real. I am here. I am sorry. For everything. I should have fought for you. I should have... Hush. Save your strength. We will talk later. First, I need to save your life. She examined the infection. It was bad. Worse than she expected. The wound had gone untreated for too long. She worked quickly. She cleaned the wound. She applied medicine. She wrapped it in fresh bandages. She gave him water, herbal teas, cooling compresses. She did not leave his side for 3 days. Slowly, the fever broke. The infection receded. Thorn began to heal. On the 4th day, he woke fully. Serafina sat beside his bed, exhausted, relieved. You came, Thorn said. Of course I came. You called for me. I thought you hated me. I could never hate you. I love you. That does not stop just because we are apart. Thorn reached for her hand. She took it. I was a coward, Thorn said. I let Whitmore win. I let you go. I thought I was protecting you. But I was only protecting myself. From feeling, from hurting, from risking everything for the one thing that mattered. And what is that? Serafina asked softly. You. Tears filled her eyes. Thorn. Marry me. She froze. What? Marry me. I do not care what society thinks. I do not care about scandal or propriety or reputation. I care about you. Only you. Marry me. You cannot marry me. I am not a lady. I have no title, no connections, no dowry. You have everything I need. Intelligence, strength, courage, love. That is more valuable than any title. But your estate will survive, or it will not. I cannot control that. But I can control this. I can choose you. I can fight for you. I can build a life with you, if you will have me. Serafina looked at him. This man who could not feel physical pain, but who felt everything else with such intensity it nearly destroyed him. Yes, she said. I will marry you. Thorn pulled her close. He kissed her. It was gentle, tender, full of promise. I love you, he whispered against her lips. I love you too. They held each other as the sun rose outside. A new day, a new beginning. But someone else watched from the shadows. Someone who was not finished yet. Whitmore had returned. Whitmore burst into the study 3 days later. Thorn and Serafina sat together, reviewing medical texts, planning Thorn's recovery, building their future. You fool, Whitmore said. You absolute fool. Thorn stood. Get out. No, I will not stand by and watch you destroy yourself. You are going to marry her, a commoner, a woman who practices medicine illegally. Yes. Then you are an idiot. The Ton will crucify you. They will strip your title. They will take your estate. Everything your family built will be gone. Then let it be gone. I choose her. Whitmore laughed. It was harsh, bitter. You choose her. How romantic, how stupid. Do you know what I have done? I have been working, building alliances, gathering support. When the scandal breaks, and it will, I will be there, ready to take over. This estate will be mine. It will never be yours. We will see. Whitmore turned to Serafina. And you could have walked away. You could have saved yourself, but you came back. Why? Do you love him that much? Or do you love the idea of being a duchess? Serafina stood. I love him. That is all that matters. Love. Whitmore spat the word. Love does not pay debts. Love does not manage estates. Love does not keep roofs over heads or food in bellies. Love is useless. You are wrong, Thorn said. Love is the only thing that is not useless. It is the only thing that makes any of this matter. Then you are weaker than I thought. Perhaps, but I would rather be weak with her than strong alone. Whitmore stared at him. For a moment something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain. You will regret this, Whitmore said quietly. When everything falls apart, when you lose the estate, when you have nothing left, you will regret choosing her over duty. No, Thorne said. I will never regret her. Whitmore turned and walked toward the door. He paused. I had a woman once, Whitmore said. Someone I loved, but I chose duty. I chose the estate. I chose power, and I have been empty ever since. So maybe you are right, cousin. Maybe I am the fool. He left. Thorne and Serafina looked at each other. What do we do now? Serafina asked. We fight. We build. We love. And we do not apologize for any of it. Even if we lose everything? We will not lose everything. We will have each other. That is enough. Serafina smiled. Yes, it is. They married in the small chapel on the estate. No grand ceremony, no society guests, just the servants, the tenants, the people who truly cared. Serafina wore a simple white dress. Thorne wore his finest coat. They held hands and made promises. I promise to care for you, Serafina said. To heal you when you are hurt. To stand by you when the world turns away. To love you every day of my life. I promise to protect you, Thorne said. To fight for you. To build a life where you can be yourself. To love you even when I cannot feel pain. Because what I feel for you is stronger than any sensation. The vicar pronounced them husband and wife. They kissed as the chapel bells rang. Outside, the servants cheered. The tenants threw flowers. It was simple. It was perfect. But in London, the scandal spread. The Duke of Ashford married a commoner. A woman pretending to be a physician. A woman of no breeding, no title, no worth. Society was outraged. Letters arrived at the estate. Harsh, condemning, demanding Thorne's resignation, his exile, his ruin. Thorne burned them all. Let them rage, he said. We have what matters. Months passed. The estate did not collapse. In fact, it thrived. Serafina opened a clinic on the grounds. She treated anyone who needed help, rich or poor, noble or common. She became beloved by the community. Thorne supported her completely. He built her a proper medical facility. He funded her research. He helped her develop new treatments. Together, they changed the estate. They lowered rents for struggling families. They improved housing. They created opportunities. The people prospered. And in turn, the estate prospered. Society still shunned them, but Thorne did not care. He had everything he needed. One evening, they sat in the library. The fire crackled. Serafina read a medical journal. Thorne worked on ledgers. Are you happy? Thorne asked suddenly. Serafina looked up. Yes. Are you? More than I ever thought possible. She set down her journal. She moved to his chair. She sat in his lap. I thought I would miss society, she said. The respect, the recognition. But I do not. This is enough. You are enough. You are more than enough. You are everything. They kissed. Slow, deep, full of love. Thorne, Serafina said, there is something I need to tell you. What? I am with child. Thorne froze. What? I am pregnant. We are going to have a baby. Joy flooded through him. Pure, overwhelming, perfect. A baby, he whispered. We are having a baby. Yes. Are you happy? I am terrified and thrilled and happier than I have ever been. He held her close. He felt her heart beat against his chest. He felt the warmth of her body. He felt everything. and for the first time in his life, he understood. Pain was not just suffering. Pain was connection. It was a reminder that you were alive, that you loved, that you could lose something precious. Thorn could not feel physical pain, but he felt this: the fear of losing her, the joy of loving her, the terror and wonder of creating new life. That was his curse, and his gift. The baby was born in spring, a girl, perfect, healthy, beautiful. They named her Ilara, after Thorn's mother. Serafina held the baby in her arms, exhausted, happy, complete. Thorn sat beside the bed. He touched Ilara's tiny hand. She gripped his finger. "She is perfect," he whispered, "like her father. I am not perfect. You are to me." They stayed like that for hours, a family, together. But outside, trouble was brewing. Whitmore had spent months building his case, gathering evidence, bribing officials. He wanted the estate, and he was close to getting it. He petitioned the House of Lords. He claimed Thorn was unfit to manage the dukedom. He cited the scandal, the marriage to a commoner, the medical condition that made Thorn a danger to himself. The Lords agreed to a hearing. Thorn would have to defend himself, in front of society, in front of his peers, or lose everything. The hearing took place in London. Thorn and Serafina traveled together. They left Ilara with trusted servants. The chamber was full of noblemen, stern, judgmental, powerful. Whitmore stood at the front, confident, smug. "Gentlemen," Whitmore said, "I bring this petition because I care about the Ashford estate, about the people who depend on it. My cousin is a good man, but he is not fit to lead. His condition makes him reckless, his marriage makes him weak, and his choices endanger everyone." The lords murmured agreement. "Duke Ashford," the head lord said, "how do you respond?" Thorn stood. He walked to the center of the chamber. He met every eye. "My cousin is correct," Thorn said. "I am not like other men. I cannot feel pain. I did not choose this condition, but I have lived with it my entire life, and I have learned to manage it." "By marrying a female physician?" one lord asked. "That is hardly proper management." "I married a brilliant woman who keeps me alive, who cares for me, who helps me navigate a world designed for people unlike me. If that is improper, then I gladly embrace impropriety." "But she is a commoner," another lord said. "She is more noble than anyone in this room. She has dedicated her life to healing, to service, to helping those who cannot help themselves. What have any of you done that compares?" Silence. "As for the estate," Thorn continued, "it is thriving. Rents are steady. The harvest was excellent. The people are healthy and happy. I have done my duty, better than many men with perfect bodies and perfect marriages." "But what happens when you injure yourself fatally?" Whitmore demanded. "When you die from something you could not feel? Who will manage the estate then?" "My wife and my daughter. They are my heirs. They will continue my work." Shock rippled through the chamber. "A woman cannot inherit a dukedom," the head lord said. "Then change the law. Because if you strip me of my title, they are who I leave it to. Not Whitmore, not any man. Them. That is madness. That is justice." Serafina stood. She walked to Thorn's side. "Gentlemen," she said, "you want to judge my husband because he is different, because he challenges your ideas of what a man should be, a duke should be. But he is the best man I have ever known. He cares for his people. He fights for what is right. He loves without reservation. If that makes him unfit, then your standards are wrong." Mrs. Ashford," the head lord said, "this is not your place." "This is exactly my place. I am his wife, his physician, his partner. and I will not stand silent while you tear him down for loving me." The chamber erupted in argument. Some lords agreed, some raged. It was chaos. Finally, the head lord called for order. "We will vote," he said. "All in favor of stripping Duke Ashford of his title, say aye." Several voices called out, but not enough. "All opposed, say nay." More voices, louder, stronger. "The motion fails. Duke Ashford retains his title." Thorne exhaled. Relief flooded through him. Whitmore stood frozen, defeated. "This is not over," Whitmore said quietly. "Yes," Thorne said. "It is. Go home, Whitmore. Build your own life. Stop trying to steal mine." Whitmore stared at him. Then he turned and walked out. Thorne never saw him again. Thorne and Seraphina returned to Ashford Manor. They held Ilara. They walked through the gardens. They rebuilt their life. Society slowly accepted them. Not warmly, but they accepted them. Other noblemen began hiring female physicians, inspired by Seraphina's example. Change came slowly, but it came. Years passed. Ilara grew. She was smart, curious, strong like her mother, stubborn like her father. Thorne trained her to manage the estate. Seraphina taught her medicine. Together they prepared her for a future where she could be anything. One evening, Thorne sat in the library. Seraphina found him there. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "The day you left, after Whitmore's dinner." "Why?" "Because that was the day I learned what pain really was. Not the physical kind, the other kind. The kind that comes from loss, from love, from fear." He looked at her. "I spent my whole life believing I was cursed because I could not feel pain. But I was wrong. The curse would have been never feeling anything at all, never loving you, never knowing what it means to truly hurt." Seraphina sat beside him. "Do you regret it? The pain?" "Never. Because it means I feel everything else too. The joy, the love, the connection. Pain is the price of living, and I would pay it 1,000 times to have this life with you." She took his hand. "I love you. I love you too." They sat together as the fire burned low. Outside, the stars glittered in the dark sky. Thorne could not feel pain, but he felt everything else, and that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Ilara stood at the front of the House of Lords. She was 30 years old, confident, brilliant. A physician like her mother, a duchess like her father. "Gentlemen," she said, "I come before you today to propose a new law. Women should be allowed to study medicine officially, to be licensed, to practice openly. No more shadows, no more pretending." The lords murmured. Some agreed, some protested. But Ilara did not back down. She had learned from the best. "My mother saved my father's life," Ilara said. "She saved hundreds of lives. She did it without recognition, without respect, without official training. Imagine what she could have done with support, with resources, with equality." "Women are too delicate for medicine," one lord said. "My mother delivered babies in blizzards. She treated plague victims. She performed surgery by candlelight. She was many things. Delicate was not one of them." Laughter rippled through the chamber. "I am not asking for special treatment," Ilara said. "I am asking for fairness. Let women prove themselves. Let them study. Let them work. Let them contribute. You will be amazed at what they can do." The vote was called. It was close, but it passed. Women could now study medicine officially. Ilara walked out of the chamber. Her parents waited outside. Thorne was older now, gray in his hair, lines on his face, but his eyes were still sharp. Seraphina stood beside him, still beautiful, still strong. "You did it," Seraphina said. Tears streamed down her face. "You changed the world." We changed the world, Ilara said. All of us. Together. Thorn pulled them both into a hug. His family, his life, his everything. Your grandmother would be proud, he whispered. So would grandfather, Serafina added. They stood together in the London streets, a family built on love, on defiance, on the courage to feel everything. Thorn looked up at the sky. He thought about his mother, about the gift she gave him. Not the physician, but the chance to learn what it meant to truly live. Pain was not the enemy. Numbness was. Separation was. Loneliness was. Love was the cure. For everything. Thorn could not feel pain, but he felt love. Deep, constant, unending. And when Serafina eventually left this world years later, passing peacefully in her sleep at the age of 70, Thorn finally understood the full meaning of his condition. He could not feel physical pain, but the pain of losing her was absolute, devastating, all-consuming. It proved she was real. Their love was real. Everything they built was real. And even in that grief, there was beauty. Because pain meant he had loved deeply, completely, honestly. He lived another 5 years after she passed. He spent them continuing their work, helping Ilara, remembering Serafina. When Thorn died, he died in his study. The place where he first met her. The place where everything began. His last thought was not of pain, or of his curse, or of anything he lacked. His last thought was of her smile, her strength, her love. And in that final moment, the Duke, who could not feel pain, felt everything. Absolutely everything.